What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my very own transfer plan for the upcoming Game Week 33. Now it's been a while since our last transfer plan video. That's just because the game weeks have been kind of so congested, back to back, Game Week 31, Game Week 32. But now at least we have some time to do some actual planning. Now in terms of planning, I really do actually need this. I've got 2 free transfers and I have to use them both because I'm free hitting next week. And both transfers will probably be used for Game Week 37's bench boost. So I'll talk about those 2 transfer plans later in the video, but first I'm going to do a review of the previous Game Week 32 and showcase if I got a red or a green arrow. So if that's something you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, let's get straight into it. So Game Week 32 unfortunately ended in a red arrow. We got 60 total points, but a Game Week rank of 4.1 million, which is simply terrible. So yes, after the wildcard in Game Week 30, Game Week 31, Game Week 32 have been pretty bad, but at least the red arrows haven't been too major. So overall rank is currently 53k with an overall points of 1,969, and then as mentioned, 2 free transfers and 0.3 in the bank for Game Week 33. So hopefully we can do some reconstruction with those 2 free transfers, get us back on the green arrow way of things, as it is much needed. Now in terms of the 60 points, we actually had some bench points this week. It was for the injured Gusto, wasn't even in the squad, but it seems like he was rested more than injured. So unfortunately Bradley comes off the bench with only 1 point after picking up a yellow card in the first half. There wasn't many other bench points though. Onana, Garnacho both played Liverpool. That's kind of the reason I benched them, because I wasn't expecting much. And then Van Hekke played Arsenal, so I'm surprised he actually got 1 total point. So yes, only 1 extra point from Connor Bradley for Gusto. Would have really loved if he kept a clean sheet before getting subbed off. Now in terms of that game, if you guys did watch it, you guys know which goal kind of wiped out the Connor Bradley clean sheet. It was the assist from Kwanzaa. But let's go and see where the rest of our points came from. Petrovic against Sheffield United, yes, yet again, losing the clean sheet. This Chelsea defense has been probably the worst buy on my wildcard. Now I was expecting a clean sheet, to be honest, in this game. I mean, it's Sheffield United, probably the worst attack in the Prem, but Chelsea defense at the moment is also pretty terrible. Now he did actually rack up an extra save point because they did concede 2 goals, so he matches Onana on 2 points. Now the rest of our defensive department didn't get any better. It's Udogie with only the 2-point appearance yet again after conceding to Nottingham Forest in the first half. So like Chelsea, the Spurs defense has been pretty terrible, and unfortunately the other kind of fullback, Pedro Porro, scored a goal and got 3 bonus points. So the difference between Udogie and Porro in terms of price really came in clutch, so congrats if you guys had the extra funds for him. So the next player, Aït-Nouri, got 4 points, but it could have been a whole lot more. He was subbed off 5 minutes before the 60-minute mark. So if that injury could have lasted 5 more minutes, he would have been subbed off with bonus points and the clean sheet points, as he was the top performer basically in this fixture. So very unlucky once again. Don't you know what's been with me and kind of these before 60-minute subs. But to make matters worse, I took out Gabriel for Aït-Nouri. Now there were some questions in my kind of deadline stream and over my Twitter page why I took Gabriel out. But unfortunately I was kind of forced to take him out because I had 0.0 in the bank and I had to make a transfer. So in a perfect world, I could have taken out Connor Bradley, had an extra bit of funds in the bank. I could have upgraded him, but with 0.0 in the bank, I couldn't go for a 4.2 defender. So hopefully that clarifies why I went for Gabriel instead of someone like a cheaper option. I guess I could have taken out Udogie, but he plays the double game week soon. So our defense was pretty disappointing. The clean sheets lost, as well as Aït-Nouri being subbed before the 60-minute mark. Hopefully I haven't used all my luck this season. Now let's go over our midfield department with Heung-min Son, who got an assist in this fixture. Although he was captain by quite a few, his effective ownership was still under 100%. So I would have actually liked if Son performed pretty well here. As mentioned, he had the kind of effective ownership gains, but only the 1 assist in that Spurs victory. Now I did have a few chances though. The Nottingham Forest goalkeeper saved one of them really well, and that was deflected off the post. Now it was the same story with Cole Palmer, only 1 assist. He also was subbed before the 90-minute mark, and he was the popular captain this game week. However, unlike Son, his effective ownership was over 100%, and therefore I wanted him to blank, as I didn't end up captaining him. So yesterday was quite an emotional roller coaster. The Liverpool game first, then the Chelsea one, and then finally the Spurs one. But we came out trumps with the best captaincy option, which was Mo Salah. But you guys know in that United game, Liverpool got a penalty late into the fixture, and Mo Salah converted it quite calmly. Thankfully though, he got a penalty because his striking was simply terrible in this game, and he missed quite a few chances. At the end of the game, Luis Diaz also missed a big chance, which meant Salah overtook him for 1 bonus point, which meant he matched Erling Haaland as the best captaincy option. Now Saka actually did outperform all these options. He got 10 points, a penalty goal, plus some bonus points took him to 10 points, so I was quite happy that I managed to keep hold of him. If you guys don't know, I was actually going to bring Foden in for Saka if Foden was guaranteed to play, but when we got confirmation that he was benched before the deadline, I stuck with Saka. Also an added reason why I had to do defensive switch because I was looking to do the Foden move, but once that was blocked off, that was kind of the only move that I could go for, and that's why I went with it. Now for department, as mentioned, Erling Haaland kind of matched Mo Salah, both got 8 points, so congrats if you guys did also go for him. His effective ownership was also slightly over 100%. Then Darwin Núñez got the assist for the first Luis Diaz goal, but then was subbed off before the end of the game, and therefore only ended up on 5 points. Then finally Isaac, our differential from our wildcard, also ended up blanking. Now luckily Solanke also ended up blanking because he had Luton, which is a great game, so I was quite nervous about not owning him and owning Isaac. So those 2 points took us to a maximum of 60 points for the game week, a red arrow of about 8k places. Now in the comments down below, how did your game week go? Was it a red arrow? Was it a green arrow? And where are you guys sitting in the overall ranks currently? Now before I go over the actual transfer plan, I want to give you guys the context of my current starting 11, and therefore you guys can actually do your own recommendations for the 2 free transfers. Now just keep in mind, I've got 0.3 in the bank, so a lot to kind of work with for upgrades, but there are a few moves I'm actually targeting at the moment. Now the bench this week kind of picks itself. Unfortunately going to have to bench Onana and Garnacho, have a pretty respectable game there, Bournemouth away. Would have loved to actually start Garnacho, and maybe I will in my starting 11. Other than him though, Udogie against Newcastle away, I'm expecting Newcastle to score. I own Isaac. That Spurs defense hasn't been strong, Udogie's attacking third hasn't been great, and therefore he finds himself on my bench. Then also Van Hecke against Burnley away, that's a great game on the cards. If there are some injuries in my starting 11's defense, I'm actually perfectly fine starting him in this fixture. Now because I'm benching Onana, Petrovic is between the sticks, Everton at home, I might actually swap this around. That Chelsea defense has been terrible at the moment, and I'm not too keen on actually doubling up on it. So Onana might come into the starting 11, you guys might agree with me, might disagree with me, but currently I've got the double up with Gusto, who should be fine for this fixture. As mentioned in the team review, it seems like it wasn't an injury, it was more of a rest that he was kind of dropped, and should be back for the weekend's fixture. I'm also starting Bradley, who has Crystal Palace at home. If Trent is still out with the injury, I'm perfectly fine starting him against Crystal Palace. All eyes on the Europa League game though, because if he starts that one, he might be benched on the weekend. Then also some information about Ait-Nouri will be needed. He currently went off with that injury as mentioned. Nottingham Forest though away might be a tougher game, but I do trust his attacking threat quite a bit. So if Ait-Nouri is out injured, Van Hecke will come in with that Burnley away game, and then the defense actually looks quite good on paper. But as you guys have seen in the previous game weeks, our defensive department has been simply terrible, so fingers crossed this turns around for game week 33. Then our midfield department is pretty strong. I've got Son against Newcastle. You guys know how bad that Newcastle defense has been, even though they kept a clean sheet in game week 32. So let's see if Son can get back on the kind of scoring way of things. Has been relatively quiet over these past couple game weeks, but overall Spurs have been as well. Then Palmer against Everton could be a Campsey shout. Has the Monday night fixture if you guys want to kind of prolong the game week quite a bit, and he has been pretty consistent at the moment. Mo Salah might also be a shout for the armband, as Crystal Palace at home, but want to see how he plays in the Europa League, because if he is rested, might be an enticing option against Crystal Palace. Then the final option, Saka, has Aston Villa at home. Now on paper, this game might look quite bad, but Aston Villa's defense hasn't been great, and top of the table Arsenal are going to look to capitalize. So overall, our midfield department looks pretty decent. Would you guys spend one of the free transfers for a new midfielder? Let me know in the comments down below. Now you guys might be asking me where the Campsey armband is. Well, it's going to be on Erling Haaland up front. Here's Luton at home. Now, I know there might be some rotation between the Real Madrid games, so keep your guys' eyes for that Tuesday fixture and see how it goes. But I'm pretty confident of Haaland starting because he was benched a few game weeks ago, and therefore I think he's had his rest. Now this Campsey armband might change. As mentioned, Champions League game tomorrow against Real Madrid. Anything can kind of happen. Otherwise, I've got Darwin against Crystal Palace and Isaac against Spurs. You can see both of them scoring in these fixtures, and hope that both of them do start. But this starting 11 now has to add 2 free transfers. As mentioned, I'm free hitting in game week 34. I could always burn a transfer if needed, but that's not optimal, and therefore I'm looking to make 2 switches. So in the comments down below, what are your recommendations for 2 transfers that you guys would make for this starting 11? I'm very open to ideas. But let's go over some ideas for my transfer plan with those 2 free transfers. The first one is a midfielder switch for Phil Foden. Now Foden has the great game Luton at home. Will he play? Those the big question, but I do believe after his rest in game week 32 that he will. Now I've put a dash there for the free hit in game week 34 because as mentioned I'm using the chip, and after that he has Nottingham Forest as well as Wolves. Now the added bonus about Man City is they do double in 37 with 2 good fixtures, and that's why I want to bring Phil Foden in as soon as possible. Now the player I'll be taking out is unfortunately going to be Saka. Yes, Aston Villa at home, yes, this might come back to bite me, but then it's Chelsea and Spurs after the double game week. Now, I won't be taking out Salah, I won't be taking out Son, I won't be taking out Palmer, therefore Saka is the option to kind of replace. But as mentioned, this move could come back to bite us. So this transfer does look quite locked. Hopefully we get some early team sheet news about Phil Foden. Hopefully it says that he starts, because then I will do this move. And then hope that Aston Villa keeps Saka quiet. Now the next transfer will be used for kind of a defender switch. As you guys would have seen, I got Bradley, doesn't have a double in 37, got some other options. And then for defender replacement looks quite likely. And the two options at the moment are going to be Dan Burn for Newcastle. With all the defensive injuries, they're not keeping clean sheets, but the fixtures look too strong after the double game week. Now I won't bring Dan Burn in to start him for game week 33, I'll bench him against Spurs at home, and then I'll play him in game week 35 onwards, then as a double game week in 37. Now I'm also looking at a Man City defender. At the moment Guardiola is an option that I can afford, but he might be injured, just check the Champions League lineup. Now I could play him in game week 33 against Luton at home, that's a great game on the cards, but then fingers crossed he starts the double in 37 for both fixtures. Now the reason I might prioritize Dan Burn at the moment is because Guardiola might be injured. I might want to go for that Man City defense as close to 37 as possible, as they're quite a hard team to predict, as you guys know, Pep Roulette. So Dan Burn might be slightly more likely this game week, Guardiola might come out in the future game weeks, but at the moment I'm pretty nailed on a defender switch. Now in terms of replacements, Connor Bradley might be up there if Trent is back, otherwise if Aït-Nouri is out for a prolonged amount of time, he'll be the replacement. So these two transfers look quite likely in my opinion. As mentioned, I have to do both of them as I prepare for double game week 37 with the free hit next week, and I'm not too keen on burning a transfer. But maybe your recommendations are better than my own transfer plan, so comment them down below. Otherwise, if I can help you out with your own transfer plans, post your dilemmas on my Discord server or in the YouTube comments. But this is basically a wrap of the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you didn't subscribe if you have subscribed yet, and I'll be seeing you guys for the future videos in a few days time. Watch out for that European football. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.